everyone. Welcome. And welcome to this meditation. And meditation is ideally something which is a bit of a mystery, a bit of an unknown. Unknown how any meditation will go. Unknown what parts of ourselves will come into the forefront. Unknown what we tap into. Unknown because there's more going on when we meditate than our own efforts and our own even purposes and intentions. I came across a wonderful quote yesterday of James Baldwin. I am what time, circumstances, history have made me, but I am also much more. And this much more, we are much more than what we usually think we are. We are much more than our challenges. And part of this much more, this willingness to take in the fact there's more going on here than we know, is to also appreciate or open up to trust that we can be aware. We can step out of our challenges enough that we can be clearly and calmly aware of our challenges. There's a way in which we can bring a sense of agency, a sense of personal capacity, ability, and introduce it into whatever is happening where otherwise we would be preoccupied, caught up in, swept away in. We would be identified with it. This is me, this is important. And there's a way in remembering we're much more. And part of that much more, which opens the door to even more and more, is to pause and be aware, to step back and recognize what's happening, to make space for what is happening. And in the making of space, making room for it, we are opening up, we're using agency and taking, in a sense, maybe even taking a stand. Here I am. There's much more here than my concern, my preoccupation. What else is here? Let's make room for more. And in this kind of this step, this movement towards awareness, to know, to step back, to pause, in there is something beautiful, something wondrous. There might even be something, you can start getting little hints of at first, of calm, of clarity, of non-entanglement. So to paraphrase James Baldwin, you are what time, circumstance, and history have made you, but you are also much more. So taking a meditative posture, a posture that has lots of room for that of which you are more. And And this movement towards making space, pausing, opening up, begins by consciously and intentionally assuming a posture of attention. Gently closing your eyes, and as you do so, feel into your body. Feel the vitality that's there in your body. And another place where we take some agency, some stepping away from business as usual, is in consciously and intentionally taking a few long, slow, deep breaths. It's a way of reminding ourselves that we can be consciously present, present with a degree of agency. Here I am, and I will be aware, I will be attentive. And part of this taking agency, pausing, engaging consciously, is also to relax. As you exhale, relaxing the body. Letting the breathing return to normal. And continue on the exhale to relax the body. Consciously, intentionally. Not letting things be as business as usual, but to feel a relaxed but clear intentionality, a choosing to be intentionally relaxing. And then letting go of efforts to relax, except to take a few moments to soften and relax your mind. And if this assumptions of agency is a strain or tense, to relax, soften. And with a relaxed, soft agency, consciously, intentionally, gently become aware of the body breathing. Taking a moment to pause, step back. And how are you as a practitioner? How are you practicing meditation right now? Hardly at all because you're drifting in thoughts? Complacently? Engage nicely and present? How are you as you're engaging in this practice? And can you ask yourself the question, how? Gently, spaciously, non-judgmentally. It's kind of open question of curious discovery. Oh, it's like this. And then with the same open, relaxed spirit of discovery, begin again with your breathing, or whatever else you're aware of here in the present moment. If you are caught up in your thoughts, there might be a kind of unconscious agency, unintended agency in your mind to do so. And you redirect that, reclaim that, to calmly, gently, but clearly begin again with the breathing, where you appreciate a relaxed, gentle, but intentional being aware. to gently take a pause, stepping back for an overview. How are you in the effort to meditate? How are you? And to step back and pause where there's an opening to wider possibilities. Checking in. Is there some way that you would like to now adjust your meditation so that you can be more present here and now, where the way that you're present feels good? It's a nice way of accompanying yourself. Then again, so we come to the end of this meditation, to pause, to step back, to to check in with yourself. How are you? How are you in taking into account you're always much more than what you think? And can you ask that question? Can you consider that question as a way of being relaxed and open and curious, where how you are with the question is more important than the answers you get? Asking how you are with an openness, a willingness, a curiosity, a kindness, where you're willing to accompany yourself as you are, even with what's difficult. And then to turn the gaze outward to the world with the same question, not looking for an answer, not rushing to an answer, or settling on the first answer. How is the world? How is your world? Asking that question with an openness, a willingness to be present, curiosity, making space for lots of possibilities that would be not possible if you answered quickly. Your world is always much more than anything you think. What is the way to be aware that's available to the much more? And can you accompany this world? Can you accompany others with this generosity of attention, with kindness, with making room and space where so much of the joys and suffering can be held with caring attention? May all beings be happy. May all beings be safe. May all beings be peaceful. And may all beings be free. Thank you. So good morning, good day, everyone. So this week I'm talking about challenges, and this is the kind of the general theme now, because it's going to be for a while, and so the challenges are can be very challenging. That's what it means. It's difficulty, which is difficulty, which we're having trouble figuring out how to be with, or it's not clear what to do, and sometimes we have to figure something out, or it can be overwhelming, and it's a wide range of what can be called a challenge. And what I offered this week was what I call a challenge check-in, a mindfulness check-in, and it has a number of functions. One is to have us step away from business as usual with a challenge. If we're really caught in it and oppressed by it and really preoccupied, and we're focusing on some clear idea. This is the problem. But to step away and not be caught in anything, and take a pause, a sacred pause, to check in and to have a different framework, a different perspective in which to look at our experience than the perspective we might have been using that provides the idea that I have a challenge. So we can check in with how we are physically, and we might discover that we're tense, or that our posture is kind of, out of balance. And so we can relax the body. We can bring balance to our body. We could maybe go and exercise in order to get some nice things flowing in our body rather than feeling all congested. We check in with the feeling tones, the sense of which things are pleasant and unpleasant. And generally when we feel challenged, there's something that feels unpleasant, that's sometimes generated from how we're preoccupied, how we're afraid or angry or upset or something. And it's a generous thing to feel our contribution, how that's sitting in us. Because as we feel it, it allows something to make space and to dissolve or to open up, and become clear. But also it gives us a chance to also realize there's much more. There's also pleasure here. There's also some good feelings. And realize we've been preoccupied or fixated on the unpleasant, or we see the world through the unpleasant. But since there's more here, what happens if we include what feels right and good? Then there's the mind state, the emotion, the attitude by which we're operating, and to see it as just that. Oh, that's an attitude, that's an emotion, that's a mind state that I have, a mood. And I'm with it, I'm not it. I don't have to see through it. I don't have to have those glasses on, those lenses on. There's another way. And then the mental processes. Am I involved in processes that are keeping me tight and contracted and grasping? Or am I touching into a practice, for example, or mind states or ways of being that clearly recognizes the challenge, but is freeing in the midst of it? So asking ourselves this check-in has a number of functions. One of them is that because some of the challenges we have are really big, and some of the ways we can be with a challenge, even a small one sometimes, is not productive, that we might have to, giving ourselves a check-in, we might see that and see, oh, I need to do something here. I need to somehow break the trance, break out of this funk. I need to break out of, somehow clear out so I can start fresh. And so to do something that refreshes us or to resets us. And, it could be a wide range of things. Different people have different things that they want to do. But this idea of having agency to shift how we are, to put ourselves in a more productive, useful way, is invaluable. To be stuck in the challenge, and, can often, what happens when we're stuck in it, we tend to ruminate and repeat the same things. It just kind of strengthens it and makes it get worse. So something as simple as going for a walk or having a cup of hot drink. If you know how to nap for 10 minutes, to meditate for 10 minutes, take a shower, listen to music, call up a friend and have a human conversation with someone, or go someplace, in society that you can kind of lose your preoccupation. It's just nice to be there. And, maybe you volunteer at an animal shelter and so you go spend some time with the kittens. And that kind of pulls you out of your kind of caughtness with whatever. So by doing the check-in, we find out, oh, I'm really caught. For example, if you can't do the check-in because you're so caught up, that's a clear indication that an intervention is needed. Not an intervention that you escape forever, but maybe sometimes you escape for a little while so you can come back refreshed in a good way. The other thing that check-in does, it provides a lot of information about how you are, that you then can kind of figure out, okay, with knowing this about me, then now I have a better sense of what I can do. And both of those, just having, doing an intervention for yourself and doing something different, or understanding what's happening with you so you can be with yourself or adjust yourself in a good way, both of them involve agency. And in our Buddhist scene, there's a lot of emphasis on don't control, shouldn't be controlling your meditation, which has some truth to it. But we also don't want to dismiss agency. And sometimes we dismiss agency because we have this strong emphasis on not self. And agency is where the self operates. But agency can exist without this kind of self that we're caught in. But we want to begin feeling and engaging in our capacity to choose, engage, to have agency with what we do. Because what happens with extreme challenges, we tend to, part of the reason we can freeze, we can be overwhelmed, and we don't use our capacity for agency. And so even just kind of going away, escaping the challenge for a while, is an act of agency. To check in with yourself is an agent. You're using agency to do that. And so then we slowly start discovering, by using that agency, how to use it in a way that is nice, is useful. We don't pile on self and self-identity and shoulds and shouldn'ts and I'm supposed to be able to manage here. The agency, that's almost the same as the agency to use attention. We learn to do that in a soft way, in a gentle way, in a kind way. We learn agency that we enjoy doing. And this is what I want to suggest, is it's invaluable to discover in challenges, to discover some way, some pleasure, some goodness, some rightness, something you feels right and good. And if you can do that in how you accompany the challenge, how you show up for it and are attentive to it, where you have confidence in your agency, not necessarily that you know what to do, but confidence you can always have agency. The agency to do the mindfulness check-in. The agency to pause and not do anything and just look at the situation. The agency to ask for help. The agency to tell yourself, to recognize, wow, I don't know what to do here. This is overwhelming. To do that in a clear, conscious way is almost in a way not to be burdened by it, but like, wow, I'm overwhelmed. To start discovering how this sense of doing can be freeing, can be relaxing, can give you a different place from a source within from which to act from. Because sometimes when we're engaging in challenge and we're coming from a place of being a victim or feeling inadequate or feeling confused or feeling angry or feeling just scattered, that will often make the challenge harder. But if we can recognize we are that way by doing the check-in, we are beginning to find agency. We're beginning to find another way that feels good. So anyway, this mindful check-in has a lot of functions, and there's probably many more than I've said, and you're probably maybe discovering it. But to take some time to experiment with this simple checklist: body, feeling tones, mind states, and then these processes of the mind, how the mind is behaving, the operating principles, is behaving in a way that is deleterious or beneficial, that's getting you caught, and or that helps you to have more space and freedom. So then thank you for all this. Now for next week, I'm off at the IRC, our retreat center, for teaching a retreat, so I won't be here. And I believe Matthew Brent-Silver will be teaching. And then I'll be back for 1 week, and then I'll be away for a while. But my plan is for the next months as I'm here, that I'll continue this series on challenges, and even though there's a big gap, with the idea that we're slowly building, kind of laying the foundation here. And in that regard, I'd encourage you to look for manageable challenges, maybe even really minor challenges that you have, and start kind of bringing some of this exploration of the challenge, or being with the challenge, that we've been laying out for these last few weeks, and that you're going to be creating the own foundation yourself for what we do as we go along. So one day you can maybe have a new capacity, wise capacity, to be with some of the major challenges that you have. And so thank you very, very much, and I will look forward to coming back in a week or 10 days, and I'm sure you'll enjoy next week's teachings as well. And there's a way in which whatever a Buddhist teacher is teaching, either directly or indirectly, is about how to be with challenges. So thank you.